In this video, I'm going to break down 4 things that is going to make your strings as real as possible. And my favorite one is the 4th one. Let's break it down. Welcome back to Mixing Breakdown Room. I am Claudia, and today we are breaking down the song. Actually, it's my own song. It's called Hung Fa Chun. I want to talk a little bit of the background of the song so that you know exactly what I'm trying to achieve, because we have to know what the music is about in order to have a goal in mind, and we also have to mix in context. Hung Fa Chun is actually a place in Hong Kong, and it's a place that holds dear to my heart because that's where my grandmother used to live, and this song is actually for her. The message is like intimate, touching, it's relational because it's like family. Let's have a listen to what the track sounds like and have an idea on what we're trying to work with.
The sun was setting, days grown old. As I prayed and time was slow, took your hand, they were colder. Put my hand on your shoulders, the good days, the bad days. As you lay, my heart breaks. The day's long, but life is short. Heaven is your resting place.
To give a little bit of background, in case you don't know my story, I'm actually not only a mixing engineer, I'm also a singer-songwriter. I don't have a record label, I am an indie artist, and as you know, indie artists will always run into a problem, which is budget. I already had this song in my head and this arrangement, and I was like, I need strings. Can I hire an orchestra for it? But then I have a lot of songs that I want to release, so I can't just put all my budget into strings. I thought, what if I try to make these strings as real as possible? Disclaimer, there is no way you can make MIDI strings super real. The value of real strings is still there. So these are my strings tracks, and I have 3 string tracks. This is violin 1, violin 2, and cello. Most of the time, what people like to do is have a viola track as well. But we all know what we feel about viola.
What did the violinist say to the violist? You
The library that I used for the strings is called LA Strings. I chose LA Strings because it's the realest, the most real string library I have. Because I wanted it to sound like a quartet. There's one player. So like one violin 1 player, one violin 2 player, and one cello player. And so like that is what I settled with. We are going to go through the 4 key points. Key point number 1 is we have to identify the problematic frequency that is making it sound like plastic. I always feel like MIDI strings, if they don't sound very good, it sounds a bit plastic-ish. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology. Here's what I've done for my violin 1. There are 2 different like dynamic EQ that I've done. And this actually mainly is to get rid of that plasticky harsh sound, which a lot of MIDI strings have. And you find if you have heard a real string play in front of you, it is not that harsh. It's a shine more than a harsh. So the first band of frequency is this, and let's listen to that. And the second one is this. Yo, this 4,000 whatever frequency is like the key to fake string. So that's why I needed to cut it. And not only I did it dynamically, I also like cut a little bit. So like just almost 1 dB. Even though it's a very subtle difference, you can hear that the strings is rounder. It's almost like it's less, I keep using the word plastic. Like I'm not even sure if that's like a thing. For my violin 2, I did the exact same thing. I literally just copy and paste because, you know, violins pretty much hit the same thing. For cello, it's a little bit different. Luckily, cello don't really have that harsh plasticky sound. I find that there is a resonance in this MIDI string. I find it really muddy. And actually, it really affects the vocal as well. So I did like a dynamic EQ here. Interestingly, on a real cello, it depends on where you place the mic. But I remember this was like in real life, if you listen to a cello, there is a very boxy tone to it. And I think that's just how a cello is shaped. The reason why I wanted to cut more of that boxy tone, even though it should make it sound real, because it was really resonating and it was really in the way of the vocals. When you mix strings, not only you're trying to make it real, but you also have to make it in context with the music. For my case, it's in context with the vocal, because the vocal at the end of the day is the main instrument, not the strings. The second frequency I got rid of, and this is the thing that I think make like MIDI strings have this problem, which is the honkiness. Now that we've dealt with the problem frequencies, great, because we can now move on to our second key point, is actually the tonality. Even though we can't really change much of the tone when other people have chosen the library, it's already there. But we can try to shape a sound, which is, if you have watched our videos, you know what shapes sound. It's compression. For this string, I chose an optic compressor, which is the classic LA2A gray. I think optic compressors shapes strings and make strings more warm. The attack time is slow and the release time is slow-ish. So like there's a naturalness in it, and I can not only shape the sound better, I can also like choose what kind of tonality to use. What I'll avoid using is compressors that generate a lot of harsh harmonics, by the way, unless it's needed. For this song, because it's such a mellow, ballad, warm song, I settled with this. As you see, I didn't really do much compression. Well, I was in it for the tone. For this song, I really wanted to keep the dynamics. If you haven't heard, real strings are super dynamic. I don't want to stabilize it. I want it to come in and out of the music. I think that is also a thing that really makes a MIDI string sound real. To achieve this sound, actually most of the plugins I've used is EQ and compression. And you can tell EQ and compression is so important in mixing. And that is why we made a free EQ and comp cheat sheet for you. This cheat sheet can really help you understand these type of frequencies, like how do I listen to the frequency and just know that this is the part that I need to cut. And this cheat sheet is really the best way for you to start. Click on that link below to download it. Third key point, and I think this is really important, which is the space. Where are you putting the strings in? This song is not calling for the strings to be super like hall, big, orchestral kind of sound. So you can see that I actually did not use a hall reverb. Instead, I use a room reverb. The purpose of this is use the room to gel the strings together so that they sound like they're really recorded in a room. I want to talk about the mix knob. The reason why I didn't send, I have a room reverb sent here. So I deactivated a room reverb here. And I believe I actually tried sending to the room reverb. And the problem with sending to a room reverb, for me, it's because as you're sending a dry signal into a room reverb, you're keeping the dry signal at the same level. That's more like you're adding a reverb on the sound. But by putting the reverb on the bus, as the mix percentage go up, you're pushing the strings slightly further away, almost like acting like the position of a mic. To me, sound more gel together than sending it. Let's listen to what it's like sending. you're really putting a mic there and you're trying to push them away, capture more of the room and gel them together better. Before we jump to the fourth, my favorite key point, I want to jump to this plugin, which is the last plugin on the string bus. So these two mid-channel ones is making space for vocals. I want to talk about this. I high cut 16 and above. Really for me is to make it sound more vintage because I wanted it to not be the brightest thing in the song. I wanted the vocal to be, because that is the one that should shine, should shimmer. I also find that if I make it more vintage, it will sound more tucked into the mix, like it's more glued.
And this life of love and loss can overwhelm our thoughts, but it hurts me to see your pain. Hope that you'll be here forever. Thought that we're all together, but we're one again. And this life of love and loss can overwhelm our thoughts, but it hurts me to see your pain. Hope that you'll be here forever. Thought that we're all together.
It kind of got out of the way, but very subtly. And also this high shout, the darker it sounds, the more further away. So this for me is also creating depth. So it's not just dealing with just frequencies. I'm actually also creating depth with frequency in the mix.
And this life of love and loss can overwhelm our thoughts, but it hurts me to see your pain. Hope that you'll be here forever. Thought that we're all together.
Where the string was playing like this really high pitch here. Without that shaping of frequency, it will really suddenly poke out and take away the focus from the vocal. The fourth key point, and also my favorite one, which is riding. Riding is so important in MIDI strings. Like if you don't ride it, it will just sound flat. I already tried to do modulation, doing the modulation as I was playing these strings, and still have that flatness in it. And everything else we have done from key point number 1 to 3 is setting up these strings up for success. You can see on the string bus, I have a lot of writing here. Let's listen to like before and after in context and tell me what you feel.
Hope that you'll be here forever. Thought that we're all together, but we're one again.
Yo, even I turned it up, I still can't really hear. That's really the big problem. Just want to let you know the second part of the bridge, the violin, the pitch kind of climbs up. You would expect that it will be more like gun. That's what I feel. Just like, so I want to share how I wrote this like climbing part. Yeah, creating tension, and it's like doing this crescendo along with the pitch. You really feel the emotions coming up.
Hope that you'll be here forever. Thought that we're all together, but we're one again.
I want to share another part where I automated like hell, because what is this?
Now that the silence so loud, all I see, all I feel, your memories rest in peace. The day's long, but life is short. Heaven is your resting place now.
I really wanted to hear this. Honestly, when people say mixing is so technical, are wrong. I actually poured my heart and soul into writing this. When I'm writing it, I really feel like I am the violin player. Gushing all the emotions. Anyway, I went crazy with strings because I love strings. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Send it to your friends who have plastic sounding strings that wants to make it sound real or cannot hire real orchestra because they're too broke. And subscribe for more broke content. And subscribe to more breakdowns like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!